So I had a family member give me... Fuck it, it's the guy from the first videos, the To Pimp a Butterfly videos, and that other random shit on the Cannon Fodder channel. My little cousin, Braedon, and his girl, they found this book in a little free library while they were out on a walk, and they took it for me to read. They picked this one in particular because the author's name is CJ, and I'm CJ. And it's got a picture of a fucking cowboy on the cover. So he knew that I probably wasn't going to like it. But whatever. Anyway, I read it. I read it today. It only took one day to read. The book is called Vicious Circle by C.J. Box. Let's just get into it. First of all, fuck plot. There's no plot. So I took notes for the episode instead on every time the author says something ridiculous. I have 2 full pages of notes. I came into this fully expecting disappointment, and my expectations were met. Right in the beginning, just chapter 2, there's this whole sequence where the pathetic quasi-antagonist friend of the main character is sitting in the bar getting drunk and thinking about how cool the main character is and how much he wishes he was cool like the main character, and trying to flirt with the bartender who's fat. The author needs you to know she's overweight and she's old and she's icky, and he's embarrassed at having drunk enough to be chasing her, but she's dodging him because he's just such a loser. And there's these hipsters at the bar playing pool, and they cower every time the door opens, afraid that a cowboy's going to come in and beat them up. Not a specific cowboy, just any cowboy. And then they ask where they can find some gluten-free food. It's so fucking stupid, it's unbelievable. The fat, ugly barkeeper that the loser boy can't catch gets swept up in excitement and flirts sexually with the alpha. I swear to fucking God, the word alpha is used. The alpha of this pack of guys and one girl that comes into the bar, and turns out they're like the mortal enemies of the main character, so Loser Boy leaves the main character a voicemail warning him that Alpha Rodeo Jock is in town. I'm not even making this up. He's a fucking rodeo jock. My God, do all the women in the book just fucking flock to the rodeo jock, because the author hates women and clearly has a very low opinion of most women. So it's at this point, just some, maybe even single-digit number of pages in, I already know this book is not passing Bechdel test. And it gets worse. The bartender's not interested in one of the loser boys' stories because he didn't meet Larry the Cable Guy in Hollywood. I swear to God, they bring up Larry the Cable Guy. And he laments to himself about his bitch ex-wife who only wants alimony from him, and I swear to Christ, he complains about how his daughter up and left for the big city to become, and I quote, a professional lesbian. This book has 4 stars on every review I've been able to find of it. This book is part of an extended universe of cowboy power fantasy nonsense, so I assume there's some backstory about Loser Boy that tells me why he's such a loser. And there is. And it's exactly what you expect it to be. He works in clean energy. That's it. And apparently he's scamming disability and EBT too. Dude, oh my God. Have some fucking subtlety, dude. The character's just being universally bad, and the woman is dumb and ugly and vain, and they're like, oh, the jock is awesome, and the loser in fucking clean energy just can't fucking get his shit together, and he's also fat. Oh my God. And in a surprise to absolutely no one, the word bureaucrat appears maybe 1,000 times? It's actually probably just under a dozen. I'm not totally sure. Around the same number of times as the word hipster, which appears every time someone younger than the main character who isn't one of his children appears in the novel. It's in the next chapter, we're on chapter 3 now, that the plot twist at the end of the book is revealed. The cop is the bad guy. The bad cop is the bad guy, obviously. He's obviously the bad guy. He's in on it. He's got his own thing going on. Maybe he's running the poaching ring. Who knows? It's something, though. Whatever the book's building up to, it's obviously going to involve this guy. There's just some, blatant racism in one moment. Well, more than one moment, but there's one in particular where the 3 white guys, the one super jock and the 2 other men who were with them, it's like their backstory. They end up in a rural federal prison, and they're described, I'm paraphrasing, as the only white in a sea of black, brown, and red. I might not even be paraphrasing. That might literally be the exact words. I think those are the exact words that were used. I'm not certain. I'm not going to open the book again. I don't fucking care. I think this same part where the author describes how the rodeo stock jar alpha bro impresses all the female correctional officers because he can do 50 push-ups. 50 whole push-ups in a row. 50 of them. Which tells me 2 things. 1, the author has a low opinion of women. We already knew that. And 2, the author does not know how many push-ups is a lot of push-ups. Whatever. Maybe he thinks that women are bad at math and they think it's a lot. I don't know. The main character's daughter has a character moment where she complains about how much she hates Walt Whitman. I don't know. This is the closest that any of the women in the story get, by far, to having personalities. So I've got to tie it in somehow. And then her friend gets stabbed in the neck by a meth head. I'm not making any of this up. This is exactly how it happens in the book. She also thinks back about all the times her dad threatened her boyfriends or whatever. You know, the dumbass, I have a shotgun and 14 acres of underdeveloped prefrontal cortex. Get her home by 8. The state prosecutor brags about how they have a 95% conviction rate, which is awful. That's not how law enforcement works. You can't possibly pull that number out of anywhere other than your ass. The evil villain henchmen are cartoonishly evil in the most heinous possible ways. They kidnap the bartender, the fat ugly bartender, and then plan to sexually assault her and then murder her. But they're so fucking stupid that one ends up crippling the other by knifing him in the foot while they're playing with a knife, and the woman escapes while he's limping for a first aid kit. There's this back-to-back two-parter of misogyny, chapter to chapter, back-to-back, where the evil mother-in-law comes by, and she's just the worst ever human being. 7 ex-husbands, she keeps upgrading for more money, and she can't understand why her daughter settled for this beta, makes less than 7 figures main character, and she's just a one-dimensionally awful character. And then the next chapter is from the perspective of the bartender who escaped, and it's the same bartender from before, and the author needs you to know, he needs you to understand just how fat and ugly she is. She thinks about how she actually likes uninvited sexual comments and how she misses them now that she's old and saggy and gross, and you just need to understand, readers, please, the author needs you to know that she's just so gross and icky. And she's thinking about this while she's running away from the kidnappers. Why would she even be thinking about this? And then there's this random flashback of her being molested out of nowhere for no reason. It's in the middle of her escape. It has nothing to do with anything. It never becomes important again. It has no tie into the story. It has no place in the story whatsoever. I'm struggling to find a justification for it being there. It's a real low point. It doesn't get more heinous than this. But don't forget, she's still running away from the murderers who dragged her out to a cabin in the middle of nowhere. But also don't forget, the author is a misogynist, and she's a woman, so she's fucking stupid. And she walks in a big circle right back to the same cabin and doesn't even realize it. And then she falls onto a ledge, and it's too steep to climb down, and she's too fat to climb back up, and then the cartoon henchmen find her, and then they trick her into trusting them, and then they murder her. There's a courtroom scene where the big bad city-slicking criminal defense lawyer shows up. While they're in the courtroom, the main character marvels about how the courtroom hasn't changed at all since the 1890s, except for that they had to remove some politically incorrect paintings of, quote, blood-soaked massacres of pioneers by Indians. Anyway. There's a courtroom scene, something happens, who fucking cares, honestly, at this point. Then the ex-special forces or whatever, best friend of the main character, is out trying to illegally catch falcons, waxing nostalgic about the days when he got to murder people who he didn't like because they're bad guys or whatever. I think he uses the term dirtbags, and he happens to find the body, and the henchmen almost see him, and then he wishes that they did see him so he could have murdered them because they're bad guys or whatever, and golly, does he just miss murdering the bad guys. The main character drinks and drives. That's cool, I guess. And, okay, so the guy who is obviously going to be the bad guy, the bad cop, it's by this point they find out that he sloppily planted evidence on the rodeo jock's car to frame him for the murder of Loser Boy of Clean Energy, except that he did it sloppily, and somehow the city-slick and scummy lawyer has inside information on it, so Rodeo Jock gets off scot-free, but obviously he's working with the bad cop. The main character doesn't know this yet, but anyone with an orange cat's cognitive prowess knows where this is going by now. The cop and the lawyer and the jock are all in together to get him to get away with having had murdered the Loser Boy. I don't even fucking remember why they killed him. It's so fucking stupid. Anyway, the main character marvels to himself about how he's never seen corruption in an officer of the law, because rural cops are so well known for outstanding moral fiber. There's more about how they need to put the dirtbags away, and why that's what good cops are out here to do, and the damn Obamacare making my private insurance more expensive, and the meth head girl takes an axe to their door, and there's a whole scene in a women's-only prison where the guards warn the main character about how the women in the prison will try to woo him with their feminine wiles and the temptations, and an extraordinarily out-of-pocket retcon of the rampant sexual abuse in women's prisons committed by COs. And then he talks about how they go gay for the stay, and they're all getting into fights about men. It's, oh my god, the scene goes on for so long. And then he finally sees the warden, and they seem competent, and it's a woman? And a bureaucrat? He's like, oh, a bureaucrat that's competent? What? And the fucking IT guy who runs the security cameras in the prison is a hipster, because of course he is. And finally, there's the ending where the good guy with a gun mutilates and tortures the bad guy cop, and he cuts his fucking ears off. It's ridiculous. There's a shootout where the henchmen are killed and the main rodeo jock is arrested. Who fucking cares? Who cares? The end is so ridiculous, I'm not even going to bother to describe it. There's no character growth. There's no reason the story was told. There's no moral other than good guys are good and bad guys are bad, and women and hipsters and bureaucrats are dumb, and the rules and authority give the author a hard-on, which isn't even part of the story. That's just how the author feels. It's just such a stupid fucking book. 4.5 stars on every review I've found of it. How could this possibly have earned... How is this in the same genre? Like, how is this viewed as a good book? Oh,